Alrighty, good evening, everyone. My name is Jonah. I'm the co-founder of West Michigan Weather. I'm joined with Jacob here this evening. We are just doing a live briefing on the next winter storm that's set to impact the region uh, beginning tomorrow. So, good evening, everyone. Give people a few minutes to filter in here while I get this final stuff set up here.
Yep. While we're here, do let us know if anyone is watching if you can hear us okay before we go any further here.
Yep, that's a good idea. Have this perfect.
Ashley says can hear us, so
Excellent. Thanks, Ashley. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and get started here then. Welcome to the briefing, everybody. Again, we're expecting yet another winter storm to impact our area here beginning tomorrow. Information contained within this live briefing was last updated at 7 p.m. So within the last hour is how up to date this information is. So what we know, we're again expecting more heavy snow across the area with widespread accumulations of 5 to 10 inches. 5 is the bare minimum, I think, that we're going to see across the area. We could see localized totals over 10 inches, especially south and west of Kalamazoo, and we'll take a look at our snowfall forecast in just a little bit. Uh, the other thing we know almost for certain is that travel impacts will be a lot more considerable than this last event. Thanks both to, again, that widespread nature of this storm system, as well as the uh, just the characteristics of this storm system. So we're going to have periods of very heavy snowfall rates and just really heavy snowfall in of itself. So it's going to be what we call warm air advection snow. So it's a little bit heavier in nature, just generically, than our typical lake effect events, our northwest flow events, our other types of system snowstorms. So this is a little bit different, and it's just going to lend to a prolonged period, probably 12 hours or so worth of very, very heavy snowfall rates across a wide majority of the area instead of just those limited lake effect bands that we saw um, for the Thanksgiving holiday. So what we don't know is that exact placement of those highest totals, and by how much totals will exceed 10 inches. So we know there's going to be some areas of enhanced snowfall of those heavy snowfall rates. We just don't know exactly where they're going to set up and how much more snow they're going to lend to the area where they do set up over. Again, the most favorite area for that right now, we think, is south and west of Kalamazoo. And then there is a little bit of a signal that we will get some lake effect snow towards the tail end of this storm system. But exactly how much and how long that will persist into the day on Sunday is yet to be determined. And then how long will travel impacts continue on Sunday and into Monday, and will school closures be a concern on Monday? And again, that really just depends on how much snow we eventually end up seeing. Right. And taking a look at our alert map, Jacob, did you want to go over this? You made it, so
yep. Give me just a second here.
yeah, you're good.
So all right. Okay, so we have the alert map now. As you can see, the vast majority of our area that we have a winter storm warning now in effect across the majority of the area. Um, this is for the area that was previously in the winter storm watch that we posted about earlier this morning. and and as for the vast majority of the area in the NWS Grand Rapids forecast office, so from pretty much 94 north, that winter storm warning goes through. Well, it starts tomorrow morning and goes through around 10 a.m. or mid Sunday morning. As you can see down at the bottom for the for our US 12 counties down towards the state line, that warning goes technically until 7 p.m. on Sunday. However, and while that is a decision made by the National Weather Service in Northern Indiana, based on current trends, although if lake effect does last a little bit longer, I would not be ruling out either of these warnings or possibly be replaced by advisories down the line if the advisory does good if the lake effect snow does continue. Excuse me, but again, the winter storm warnings for the vast majority of the area through Sunday, through the day on Sunday, starting tomorrow morning for our Saturday. And then for the US 10 corridor, those purple counties, that is a winter weather advisory. The only real difference there is that they're just expecting a little bit less snow up there by Sunday morning. So that is where they're expecting 5 to 7 inches, and we'll discuss that more in our forecast coming up here shortly as well. But down in the winter storm warning areas, that's where we're expected to see the heavier snowfall totals. But the travel impacts really will be the same regardless if you're in the winter weather advisory or the winter storm warning. So just keep that in mind. If you're near the US 10 corridor, yes, you might see a little bit less snow, but the timing of it is still going to create travel impacts. So just something I want you guys to keep in mind here. Do you have anything to add here, Jonah?
No, I think that covers it really well. Thank you. So let's talk about those snow accumulations, right? That's the big question that everyone wants to know about. We have made some changes since our forecast update late this morning. In our dark blue shading here, really along that US 10 corridor over towards Alma and St. John's down US 127. We have 5 to 8 inches for areas north of that line, north and east of that line. So everywhere east of Jackson, east of Lansing, east of Alma, and then north of Mount Pleasant, Big Rapids, or Hart, you guys are going to see those totals ranging from 5 to 8 inches with locally higher amounts. I don't think that's totally out of the question up there, but you guys are just shy of that winter storm warning criteria there, hence why there's a winter weather advisory up along US 10 there for Lake Claire, Oceana, and Mason counties. And yeah, I said Claire. Okay, perfect. And then south of US 10, so south of Hart to Big Rapids to Mount Pleasant, and then west of Alma, Lansing, and Jackson, west of US 127, we're looking at a widespread 7 to 10 inches with locally higher amounts. So if you're in Newaygo, if you're in Whitehall, Big Rapids, Stanton, Ionia, Lansing, Coldwater, Hillsdale, and Hastings, and anywhere in between, we're looking at a widespread 7 to 10 inches. And again, this is going to be very heavy snow. This is going to cause a lot of travel impacts, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But a widespread good dumping of snow. And then really south of I-96, west of Hastings, we're looking at the potential, some increasing potential for snow amounts even higher, getting up towards a foot or maybe even more in some isolated areas. So if you're in St. Joseph, if you're in Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Allegan, Holland, Grand Rapids, Grand Haven, all the way up towards Muskegon there, you could see locally 9 to 12 inches of snow, especially if we do end up getting some of that lake effect on the backside of this. So Don, what you were saying about staying away from US 131, that's probably a good idea. Anywhere in these brownish, beige, tan colors or this pale yellow color, you also definitely want to avoid traveling on Saturday for sure. And that's what the National Weather Service is recommending in their winter storm warnings. Jacob wants to know if there's any freezing rain or ice concerns. That's a good question. Initially, we were kind of, about 5 days ago, we were seeing some potential for mixed to rain or mixed to some mixed precipitation with the snow, that has sort of ruled itself out. There's going to be plenty of cold air already in place across the area, so we are looking at an all snow event for this forecast here. Anything I missed with this, Jacob?
You pretty much covered it all. So, but again, I will reiterate real quick. When you see the 5 to 8 inches, or the 7 to 10 inches, or the 9 to 12 inches, that is a forecast range.
Yep.
Don't automatically assume if you're in the 5 to 8 area, you're going to see 8 inches. If you're in the 7 to 10, you're going to see 10 inches automatically, or the 9 to 12, you'll see a foot or more automatically. Don't automatically assume that. These are forecast ranges.
Yep.
Generally, most areas are going to be widespread in the lower amount of the ranges, and then the higher end of the ranges are going to generally be in more localized areas. So,
Yep.
just something to keep in mind there. So,
Yeah, and nonetheless, like even if you get 5 inches, like that's a decent amount of snow. It definitely prompts winter weather advisories when we get 5 inches of snow. And so then as you move further south and further west, we're definitely looking at a good dumping of snow. Definitely going to need the snow blowers and snow plows for this event. And really, this is going to start to ramp up by Saturday around noon. Is when I think snow will really start to ramp up, and then by the late afternoon and evening, it'll just be dumping across a lot of our area. So, the other thing we have to be concerned with is our wind gusts. These will not be nearly as intense as our last event that we saw on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, where we had widespread gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour. So we're not quite to that level. But as you are along the lakeshore here from Muskegon southward, and kind of following the US 31 corridor till it merges with I-196 and Holland there, if you kind of follow that line, and then from Holland over to Allegan, over towards the US 127 and I-69 corridors, we do have a little bit of an area where we could see some winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour. And so we are highlighting that. And then once you get south of I-94 and especially down towards US 12, right on the state line, so Niles and Sturgis especially, we could see some winds go over 40 miles per hour and approach that 45 mile per hour mark. We've seen that on both the latest runs of the HRRR and the HREF, which are kind of our main wind models that we use. So those wind gusts should start to subside on Sunday, but those overnight, you could definitely run into some areas of blowing and drifting snow. All right, so a look at our official NWS forecasts. So these are from the National Weather Service. We are looking at, again, a widespread 6 to 8 inches of snow up here along US 10. And then over here east of US 127, a good 6 to 8 inches of snow with some locally higher amounts. So that lines up with our forecast pretty well as well. And then again, once you get really south of Big Rapids and west of Alma, west of Lansing, west of Jackson, west of that US 127 corridor, which is right in here, we're looking at a pretty good chance of a widespread 8 to 10 inches with locally higher amounts up to 12 inches. And then again, southwest of Kalamazoo there is where we think our best chance for those heaviest snow bands, heaviest snowfall rates are to develop, and hence we could see some localized amounts over 12 inches in that region. So that lines up with our thinking pretty well. So this is an interesting graphic that we got from the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids this afternoon. I'll do my best to explain it here for everyone, and they give us a little bit of a description here. So the values contained within this chart over here over the period beginning at the time shown. So, for example, if we look at Alma here, the first one in line here, the total 3.4 inches at 7 p.m. is from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m., they're forecasting Alma to get 3.4 inches. So from 7 p.m. to midnight is 5 hours, and then add one more. So 3.4 in 6 hours just about is about just under an inch per hour for snowfall rates there. So we are definitely looking at some heavy snowfall rates. And then same thing with this Kalamazoo one here, 4 inches from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. In 6 hours. So about 1.5, 1.25 inches per hour snowfall rates there in Kalamazoo. And again, that lines up with those highest totals that we were seeing down here. So that just gives you kind of an idea of how much snow, and it's kind of broken up into 6 hour windows. So Saturday morning, we're not going to be seeing much. There's going to be some snow flurries, maybe some isolated snow showers around the area, especially to the southwest, places like Holland and Kalamazoo. But then by the afternoon, we really start to ramp up, and by evening, things are really just dumping out there. Almost every location on the board here is getting 3 inches or more from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday morning. So, and then into Sunday, things start to taper off. From 1 a.m. to 7 a.m., we could definitely still be seeing some snow. But by 7 a.m. Sunday morning, things will start to taper off. So, hope that makes sense to you guys and kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. The percent chance for 4 inches of snow or more, and all these next few scenes that we look at here, they all go up by 2 inches. So the next one will be 6 inches. The one after that will be 8 inches. And the one after that will be, I think I went to 12 for that one. So they just kind of step up. So 4 inches or more, you can see we're at 100% across the board, really until you get over to Flint and Detroit, where those percentages start to drop off just a little bit. But pretty much 4 inches of snow is a guarantee across our entire state and, of course, our entire area. Very similar look with our 6 inches or more, lots of 100% values there. So all this very dark blue color here is our 100%. Once we get to 8 inches or more, that kind of starts to taper off, but still really high probabilities overall. 75% up along US 10, along US 127, which runs right through here. And then once we get south of I-96 there, like we were talking about, we still have a very good chance of seeing totals over 8 inches. And honestly, even for a foot or more, we've got some pretty good chances. 77% at South Bend, Indiana, and that kind of jogs its way up towards that I-94 corridor. So it definitely going to be a good dumping of snow is what we're trying to say with these models, or with these forecasts here. So, and then finally looking at the chance for 18 inches or more, pretty low, about 25% or less across most of our area, with the exception of that I-196 corridor, US 131 corridor there south of I-96, where we're still at about 40-50% in there. So, but pretty low, and I don't really see that in the realm of possibilities, but of course we can't totally rule that out. And so this is our look at our precipitation forecast. So this loop started at 7 a.m. on Saturday and runs through our entire event. Do actually have a little bit of mixed precipitation in there, but I think that there will be plenty of cold air. I think this particular model is a little bit warm in terms of its temperatures. I think we'll have plenty of cold air to keep this an all snow event. That just kind of gives you some timing. And then there's our main driver, that big low pressure system moving right across the lower peninsula, right over the thumb region there. And same thing with our wind here. And for some reason, my text did not save. I apologize, guys. Ignore this text here. This is really just kind of showing the timings here. So this is our wind, and again, we were talking about how those red colors indicating about 40 miles per hour start to kick up into that US 12 corridor there, and then along the immediate lakeshore as well, late Saturday into Sunday. Anything I'm missing so far, Jacob?
Pretty much covered it.
Okay, perfect. For Monday, school closings, we're not at this point. We don't think that school closings are going to be a concern Monday. And again, that just kind of goes back to yes, we're getting a lot of snow, but it's going to be done really by Monday noon, or I'm sorry, Sunday at noon at the very latest, as I think when we'll see snow finally start to totally stop, and that really leaves most of the day on Sunday, really all day on Sunday, and then overnight on Sunday for crews to get out on the roads to get them treated and plowed, and allow for students and staff to get to school pretty much unimpeded on Monday. I think the one caveat to that is if we get lake effect snow a little bit more than we're anticipating on the backside of this event, then we could have some challenges on Monday. And then of course rural districts might still have some roads that are not plowed or treated or whatever. And so those could be a concern. But we're gonna wait on that until tomorrow at the earliest to start thinking about snow days for Monday. So does anybody have any questions? Look at chat here.
Not seeing anything thus far, but we'll hang out here for a couple minutes
Yep.
so
Yep.
people can
The last
catch
question
up.
I see is from Jacob Howe, and we answered his question about the freezing rain. The good news, we haven't ran into any freezing rain or ice events yet this year, and honestly, I can do without those.
All right. Jacob Howe once again is asking from Facebook, any travel concerns for Monday, thinking about flights out of Grand Rapids?
Right?
So, for as terms of flights, we expect this again to be mainly done by Sunday morning. So I think for Monday, at least flights will probably be okay at that point. So we're not really concerned about travel concerns for Monday. It is for both flights and even road travel actually will probably be okay too because again we'll have most of Sunday unless unless we do get a little bit more lake effect than what's currently anticipated. But I think we'll be okay for travel by Monday for the most part. And Jason, also on Facebook, is saying driving to Allendale on Sunday afternoon back to Grand Valley from southeastern Michigan. And again, we expect this for the most part to wrap up by but especially later on Sunday morning. Although southeastern Michigan, of course, might be a little later, but even then, probably by early Sunday afternoon, it should wrap up over there too. So, I think conditions will be improving by Sunday afternoon, especially on the main roads. Those are the ones like in the interstates and whatnot. Those are the ones they tend to focus on first when it comes to clearing, and even during the events, that's kind of their priority is to keep those at least somewhat cleared up. So I think we'll be good to go. By Sunday afternoon, things should be improving, and by Monday, I think all will be good here in terms of travel. So,
Yeah, not a ton of concerns for travel Sunday afternoon, but of course you could still run into some, especially if you're on back roads or whatever for part of your trip. You could run into some snowy spots still. Sunday morning is a different story. Sunday morning is gonna be rough travel, maybe impossible travel for some areas depending on how much snow we get. But by Sunday afternoon, a lot of those main roads will be cleared up. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and finish our live briefing here. Of course, we'll have more forecast updates tomorrow morning. This event's not really going to ramp up until mornings or until the afternoon, so we'll have time to adjust forecasts and provide an update in the morning. So. And Owen says hi to all of you guys as well. He wasn't able to make this particular stream, but he was going to try. So, all right. Well, I'm not seeing any of the comments come through. Any questions? So, if you guys do have questions, of course, you can leave them in the comments after this stream, and we'll try our best to answer them. Or you can leave them on any of our social media posts, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you guys. If you'd like to support the channel, it's not necessary by any means. We'd never require that, but you can do so at westmichiganweather.net/donate. If you feel so inclined, it's very much appreciated. It helps us pay for these, the software that you see in these streams and the radar in the bottom left of your screen there. So helps with all of that stuff. So if you guys want to help support our efforts here, you can do that. Again, the link is westmichiganweather.net/donate. You can do so on Facebook, Discord, and Patreon as well. There's links for that on the website. Alrighty. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this up then. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll be providing more updates this evening and then through the morning tomorrow. And of course, during the event, we'll be doing updates as well, and perhaps even some live cams with some of our snow chasers out in the field. So